see how far we come in 10 minutes. Chapter 1. Scrooge and Marley. Marley was dead as a doornail. All that remained of the firm of Scrooge and Marley was Ebenezer Scrooge. Scrooge, a grasping, greedy, gruesome old man. He was as hard as stone and so cold inside his face looked frozen. Scrooge didn't care for anyone, and hardly anyone cared for him. Even Christmas cheer couldn't thaw his icy heart. One Christmas Eve, he was busy in his counting house. He had left his office door open to keep an eye on his clerk, Bob Cratchit. This is his clerk. This is Mr. Scrooge. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle," cried a cheerful voice suddenly. It was Scrooge's nephew, Fred. "Bah, humbug," said Scrooge. "What right have you to be merry? You're poor. What right have you to be miserable? You're rich." "If I had my way, Scrooge," added every idiot who said Merry Christmas would be cooked with his own cake. "Really, Uncle," cried Fred. "Come, why not eat with us tomorrow?" "Good afternoon," Scrooge replied, returning to his books. As Fred left, 2 other men came in, collecting for the poor. "Are there no prisons?" asked Scrooge. "No workhouses? I pay for those. That's enough." The men went out into the bitterly cold afternoon, shaking their heads. A little later, a scruffy boy paused by Scrooge's office and began to sing. "God bless you, merry gentlemen." But one look at Scrooge, and he fled without finishing the verse. Finally, it was time to go home. "You want the whole day off tomorrow, I suppose?" Scrooge snapped at Bob. "If it's convenient," said Bob. "It isn't. Be here all the earlier the day after." Scrooge left the office with a growl. Bob quickly looked up and set off for home. Scrooge went for his usual lonely dinner in a lonely inn. Then he too set off for home, a few gloomy rooms in an old house, which once belonged to Marley. Chapter 2. Marley's Ghost. The door knocker on his house was not unusual, just large. But as Scrooge put his key in the door, the knocker changed into Marley's face. Startled, Scrooge turned his key and went in. Was the back of Marley's head sticking out into the hall? No. He saw only screws. "Bah, humbug," he said, closing the door with a bang. But he checked all his rooms, just in case, before he got ready for bed. Without warning, an old bell began to ring. It started quietly, but soaring loudly, along with every other bell in the house. Suddenly the bell stopped. A clinking noise followed, as if someone in the cellar was dragging a chain. "Ah, humbug!" Then slowly something came through the door. Marley's ghost. It can't be. Scrooge could not believe it. "Why don't you believe your eyes?" asked the ghost. Because even an upset stomach can disturb the senses, Scrooge told him. Maybe the milk was sour, and it's giving me a nightmare. The ghost let out a frightful cry and rattled its chains. "Mercy!" cried Scrooge. "Why do you trouble me?" Again the ghost shook its chains. "And why are you chained up?" Scrooge added. "These chains are a punishment for my selfish life," said the ghost. "There are some waiting for you too, and getting heavier every day." "But you were so good at business." "My only business should have been taking care of others." "I've come here tonight to warn you," said the ghost. "You might escape my fate." Scrooge looked revealed. "You will be haunted by 3 spirits," the ghost went on. "I think I'd rather not," said Scrooge. The ghost ignored him and headed for the window. "Expect the first spirit when the clock chimes 1. Scrooge closed the window and checked his door. It was still locked. "Humbug," he began, but the word stuck in his throat. Worn out partly from shock, partly because it was 2 in the morning, Scrooge fell into bed. He was asleep in an instant. Chapter 3. The First Spirit. Scrooge awoke in total darkness. To his surprise, a clock chimed 12. He lay awake, fearfully counting down the next hour. On the stroke of 1, a hand drew back the curtain around his bed. Scrooge gasped. He was face to face with the strangest creature he had ever seen. A light shone out of his head, and it carried a cap like a candle snuffer. "Are you the spirit I was told about?" he asked. "I am," said the ghost softly. "I'm the ghost of Christmas past. Your past." Scrooge clung to the spirit as he floated through the window and out, not into the foggy city, but a bright, cold day in the country. "I was a boy here," Scrooge cried. The ghost took him to his old schoolroom, where a lonely boy sat alone. "I wish I had given the carol boy something." Before he knew it, they were back in a busy city and entering a warehouse where a party was in full swing. "And here I was an apprentice," cried Scrooge. "There's my master, old Fezziwig. He made us so happy. Why didn't I wish Bob a Merry Christmas?" The party faded, leaving Scrooge and the spirit outside. There was the young Scrooge again, sitting beside a beautiful girl. "I cannot marry you," she said sadly. "You love money more than you love me. Spirit, show me no more. 1 shadow more. Watch." Okay, an dieser Stelle hören wir auf. Die Fortsetzung folgt ein andern Mal. Wenn es dir gefallen hat, dann klau mir gerne das Plus, mach das Herz rot und lass mir voll gerne einen Kommentar da. Ich freue mich. Hab eine schöne Zeit. Bis dahin. Bye bye.